Let's go ahead and get into the first topic of the night, and we're going to be taking a look at what happened with the markets, specifically yesterday, how and why, and all that jazz. So, something that I always talk about when it comes to financial stuff, I don't talk about it as much as I used to, because praise the Lord that I learned some stuff. Sometimes it's the hard way, but the Lord taught me my lesson, and I'm thankful for that. But every time we seem to have some type of dip or, huge thing happen, all of a sudden everybody just starts going ham on the apocalypse is starting when it comes to the financial crash. I don't know how many times we've had events happen where we thought it was it and it wasn't it. And yesterday when I saw what happened and I looked at how it all happened, I went and I said, yeah, this ain't it. It's going to rebound. It's going to come back. Tuesday was going to tell us a lot, and here it is Tuesday, and it did tell us a lot. We're pretty much back where we were before. And so that's why I think it's dangerous when we bury ourselves so much into financial stuff, because it can become a very, very, very dangerous, sensational area to be looking at stuff. And especially in this environment, I talk often how the financial situation is tied very closely at the hip to what's going on with the war. Now, financial stuff and wars usually always go hand in hand. Usually there's a financial crash a couple months before war starts breaking out, all that type of stuff. I think it's going to be a little bit closer on this one, specifically since they have to take the entire global financial system down all at the same time to bring in the new financial system. That's ultimately what's going to happen. Why do we know that? Because that's what the Bible tells us. We'll kind of get into that a little bit more. But yesterday, what happened? How did it happen? So if you're not aware, we take a look at Japan's market. What happened in the U.S. market had everything to do with what happened in the Japan market. I took the screenshot yesterday. Doesn't matter what's the tail looks like right now, but we look at what happened Monday. You see the huge drop that happened. Then you see the huge spike at the beginning of Tuesday. The Japanese yen had an update by the Bank of Japan, which Bank of Japan hikes interest rate for the second time since 2007, actually putting it above 0% interest rate. This is a key aspect. So ultimately what happened is Sunday night, the crypto market crashed, which is nothing new for crypto. Crypto is absolutely volatile. I don't think anybody should be in there, but I'm not a financial advisor. You do whatever you want to do, but crypto is a giant scam in my opinion. But it crashes all the time. That's nothing new. But when it happens, when the Japanese market does exactly what I just showed with this, then you start to see, okay, is this going to run into the US dollar and the US markets? And ultimately it did. And as I showed previously, Japan hikes their interest rate and it went to 0.25%. First time in a very long time that it's been above 0%. So basically after this allowed a nifty but novelty trade called the yen carry trade situation to just collapse. And that's why we saw the repercussion. I'll explain why. How the yen carry trade works is investors borrow yen at a 0% interest rate. Then they convert that yen to a different currency, in this case, the US dollar. Then they take that interest-free dollar, since they bought it at 0%, and buy dollar assets that have a yield over 0%. So basically, you take yen at 0% interest, so you're not paying anything for it, change it to the US dollar, and buy a US asset that will yield you profit with 0% interest rate, and you just get straight profit and you don't have to pay anything for it. That's ultimately what the yen carry trade was. Now, over time, because of the rate spread, the investor will then make profit with no interest as long as the rates don't get raised. Well, what just happened? They got raised. And so now what happens is all of the money, the US dollars that are based on the yen that are in US assets, now all have interest attached to them, which means anybody holding it now has to pay for holding it. So what happens is margin calls come in. A margin call is they will call Whoever is holding that going, your balance is negative. You need to pay this off in order for you to continue to make profit. Well, most of the time, people don't want to pay the margin call and they just sell the stock. And so, what you saw yesterday on Monday was the margin calls going out for everybody holding yen carry trades, and everybody sold their stocks, bonds, corporate holdings, shareholdings, and they sold anything that was attached to the yen, which caused the market to completely drop. And then Tuesday comes rolling around. Japan's market opens. It goes back to normal. Actually had one of the best days in Japan history. And then all of a sudden the US market comes back almost to where it was before. This is really what happened. So to break it down into a thing, investors borrow yen at 0% interest. Then the same investors convert that to the US dollar. Then the US dollars use that US dollar. The investors use that US dollar to buy assets with a yield over 0%. And then they make profit. That's a yen carry trade. And then all of a sudden, margin calls come in because the Bank of Japan raised their rates. And then we have a crash with what we just saw. So when you realize what actually happened, it really wasn't the catastrophic event that many people thought it was going to be. Now, when it comes to something like this, this isn't the first time. This isn't the first time that this has happened before. We've seen stuff like this. Sometimes it could take a few days for it to come back to normal, which it seems it's only going to take 2. Tomorrow we should be right back where we were because we're almost there now. Or it's something that may turn into a bigger problem down the road. I don't think that that's the case here. I think there's stuff happening. Plus, we also know that those that are in control of all this stuff, they're not ready to pull the plug yet. I still love how people say that we have a free market when we absolutely do not have a free market. The illusion of a free market, just like we have the illusion of freedom. Now, the United States still does have more freedom than pretty much any country out there, but for the most part, it's not anywhere near the amount of freedom that most people think we have. Same when it comes to the market. It's completely rigged, completely controlled, and it's owned by the bankers. The bankers control it. And so when they're not ready to pull the plug, they're not going to pull the plug. They will make sure that everything gets done exactly how it needs to be done. And in this case, they're not ready to pull the plug yet. I think that's another big aspect that I hate seeing from these guys that put out this financial sensationalist stuff, this clickbait stuff, where they're sitting there, this could be it. And I'm sitting there going, look at everything else that's attached to the financial situation. It's not time yet. It's not time yet. We need to be able to look at these other things that the finances are attached to, because they're not just going to let it collapse when they're not ready for anything else. They're planning for the reset, and that's not just going to be a piece here, a piece there. That country's going to have problems in that country. No, it's going to be everything all at once, and we're not ready for that yet. Things are not aligned for that yet. So just another warning. It seems every time I talk about financial stuff, guys, just be careful and you don't get caught up with this sensationalist stuff. And yes, it's in the prophecy community as well. It's in the prophecy community as well. There's guys that put out videos, clickbait, sensationalism. I don't know how many times I've seen some of these guys that have, for years now, have said this is the apocalypse, and we're still here. There's no apocalypse. So just be careful of where you're getting your information from. I'm not a financial expert. Don't claim to be, but I think I have a basic understanding of this stuff personally. But that's just me. Now, what I am watching on this stuff, however, and I posted this on my Telegram, and I think this is key, I've made this point before, is the rise, the very quick rise of the defense contractor stock. Now, if we take a look, we can see Lockheed Martin, defense contractor, and this is the 6-month market, but if you look about mid-July there, huge spike out of nowhere. Take a look at Northrop Grumman, also another one. Huge spike about the same time. And take a look at RTX. Huge spike at the same time. Why am I pointing these things out? Am I saying invest in these guys? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we can get a hint at what is coming around the corner by looking at certain markets. When you look at defense contractors, and this is historical, you can go all the way back. When their stocks jump, war is on the way. Same thing when you look at pharmaceutical trades. Last time I talked about the announcement of the United States signing a contract with Moderna for the bird flu stuff. We took a look at the stock of Moderna. It jumped, and then about 3 or 4 days later, there's an announcement about it because they knew what was coming, and so they did trades accordingly. So we can watch certain markets like these to determine what's coming. Why is this important? Well, we all see what's happening in the Middle East, right? We all see what's happening in the Middle East. Yeah, we're getting a lot of indicators that war is right around the corner in the Middle East. We can see here, I just picked a few. They're all over the place, but I just picked a few. It says Palestinian Authority, Abbas claims Israel seeks to extend Gaza war. Israel prepares for an attack from Iran. And we heard about the U.S. soldiers wounded in Iraq. International leaders meet to discuss escalation in Middle East. And then we got Iran decided to attack Israel. Foreign Minister Katz says Iran's message was delivered to Israel via Hungary. Foreign minister who called Katz directly to relay the information. Plus, we heard that Iran plans to attack Israel. On Tisha B'Av, the Jewish Day of Disaster, which, of course, is August 12th through 13th. So is that going to happen? We don't know. But we do know war is coming. Now, I've brought this up before, and every time I bring this up, I think it's important. I don't think it gets talked about enough, but it should be talked about. Albert Pike's 3 World Wars, the Freemasons, they have planned and orchestrated the first 2 world wars, and when we look at history, they unfolded exactly as they were written before they happened, building everything that they needed to. And then the third war, of course, is designed where it's going to start between the state of Israel and Islam. And we look at what's going on in the Middle East. We see all the other hot spots are ready to go. That's why I said those aren't going to jump until Middle East jumps. That's my perspective from what I've looked at and historical value and all this stuff. And so I think the reason why the defense contractors are spiking is because this Middle East war is getting close to kicking off. I'm not going to sit here and make predictions of when it's going to happen because nobody has a clue, except for those orchestrating all this, of course, which I find it fascinating. If you guys don't think Iran is involved with all this, go take a look at pictures of Iran's parliament building. It's a giant pyramid with 33 windows. Yeah, I just learned that a couple days ago. You guys don't think that they're all wrapped up in this too? They are. So everything is going according to scripts on this. And I believe that the financial situation is going to be tied at the hip to when World War III kicks off, because this will allow full collapse, global collapse around the world, financial, religious, and government, which will allow them to bring all this stuff in. And so we've got some stuff here that's pointing to, at least according to defense contractor stock, that this war is coming rather soon, especially since Iran is throwing threats around the playground, so to say. So I just wanted to put that out there and let you guys know what's going on. Like most of these wars, there's probably going to be some random spark starter that's going to kick this keg off. Go back in history and you look at how some of these wars, 1 and 2, they were false flag random events. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand, how on earth did that kick off World War I? But it did. And then, of course, the fire in World War II, or that started World War II as well. That was a false flag trigger as well. So these things are completely orchestrated. And I think everything goes hand in hand on this. So, yeah, when it's going to happen, I don't know. But it's fascinating how everything is unfolding just like that. So